There's no person better placed to address this very powerful combination than the person who's leading our innovation here at TIBCO. So ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming on stage TIBCO's Chief Operations Officer, Matt Quinn. Matt, see you.
I was going to say, that song went on a bit long there. I almost missed my cue. I was busy texting behind stage. So, first off, welcome, good afternoon, and welcome back to Vegas. It's great to see everyone. Great to see so many familiar faces, and hopefully I get the opportunity to meet more of you over this week. I'd like to thank Thomas Becker and the entire marketing team for putting on this event. You know, these events and events like this are just phenomenal places for us as engineering teams to showcase all of the great things that we've been working on over the last year. And so thanks very much, and a round of applause for what is going to be a phenomenal event. We are at a very interesting crossroads in the industry. Every day brings more advancements, more hype technology than really any other point in our fledgling industry's history. From the broader arc of AI to cloud, containers, serverless, and what's next, to blockchain, to IoT, and many, many more technologies like AR and VR, we are absolutely spoiled for choice. This is, in my view, and I think this is a view that would be shared with many of you here in the audience, this is really a once-in-a-lifetime period of change and, frankly, of inspiration. And this is the reason why I fell in love with technology getting increasingly many years ago. You know, just think about the infinite possibility, the limitless innovation that you can do with just software. Just a couple of lines of code, just a single developer, and you can change the world. And so it is that possibility, that sweat equity that you can put in that attracted me to IT, to computer science, to software all those years ago. But one of the challenges that we face today is that I think that we're often looking for that quick payoff. You know, technology, especially new technology, really does need to be cultivated. It takes time for some of these ideas to really take hold and to make huge changes to how we operate and who we are as companies, as partners, as customers, and everything in between. And a good example of this, frankly, is actually this article behind me. New Navy device learns by doing. Psychologist shows embryo of computer design to read and grow wiser. Just think about this for a second. Just think about the power that one statement has. And I have to say that it's articles like this that many, many years ago got me into computers in the first place. It was the ability to dream, to think bigger than what was just on the paper. And in fact, I still remember my parents who may be watching on the live stream. Sorry, Mum, I did wash my hair and I got dressed. But one of the things that I did as a teenager, when everyone was putting Rock Band posters on their walls, embarrassingly, I was cutting out the latest tape technology from the Australian Computing magazine and putting those on my wall. They were pretty interesting devices back then. But it really is the notion of all of this amazing power, in some cases in the palm of our hands. But what's interesting is just look, this was actually an article from 1958. And I think this is a good point when it comes to technology. We have these great ideas. We have these great themes. We have these great technologies, these great things that we can do, but they take time and they take innovation, they take perseverance in order to get to the value that they can provide. And so when you think about technologies like AI and blockchain and IoT, these are the future. But they're also not a toy, and it's up to us to shape that future. This is best highlighted, I think, by this quote that I absolutely shamelessly stole from the Register, because I think it really does a good job of describing a lot of technology today, and that's the stuff that works is boring, and the stuff that's not boring, needs a lot of work. And I think that is, I'm paraphrasing the author here, but I think this is a really good view of where things stand today. Now, obviously, I'm not going to stand up here and bully you from the pulpit on the dangers of AI. Quite actually, the opposite. I'm kind of merely pointing out to you all that technology needs to mature before it really brings about greatness and change. And that oftentimes that change happens when you least expect it. Now, this reminds me of something that my dad said to me as I was leaving Australia with TIBCO to move to the US many years ago. And he said, son, you're leaving just as you're getting interesting. And I think that this is actually an interesting, by the way, I don't actually think he was true. I think I wasn't that interesting back then, and I've maybe slightly more interesting now. But I think that that's actually a very accurate reflection of how we view our industry. In that, just as things get interesting, just as they get good, we hop to the next technology. And I think that it's up to us to change that, to really fully explore these technologies and the impact that they can have on us, our everyday lives, both professional and also personal. So the challenge I want to put forward to you is that, we want to make sure that the technology that we're building today, and we're going to showcase many of the great advancements over the next couple of hours and the next couple of days, we don't want you to see this technology on the ground floor and just a set of interesting or somewhat interesting party tricks. We really want you to think about these technology changes and evolutions that we're making as ways to make your life better. And that is a challenge that I want to put to all of you here in the audience. And that is very simple. What are you doing to change the game? What are you doing with these great technologies, this richness of technologies, to change something, to be more, to be better, and to be better at it? A good example of this are things like digital business and digitalization. I think the idea is fine. The concept is great. Imagine business models that you could create today and enhance it with technology. Or go a step further, to kind of the true heart of digital business, is to turn around and say, what business models can only exist through the application and use of technology? And that, I think, is pretty good. And I think that that digital stuff is a pretty powerful construct. But we've got to think about it not just being kind of a building block for success, but we want to make sure that we've got a seat at the table of business success. What we've done here at TIBCO is we've challenged the teams, the engineering teams, the marketing teams, the management teams, really everybody in the entire company, not just to think about digitalization and digital business. What we want is we want to see that digital business is important, but we want to think about how the technology is going to augment us. How is it that machines and humans can come together in various ways, new ways, to actually make life better? Let's not look at how we can replace people with technology, but let's see how we can enhance people's lives through the augmentation of that technology. And this is something that's very personal to me. Now, I think some of you may know that I'm relatively deaf. And so the only way that I can actually ever have conversations with you is because I am augmented with technology. I've got these great hearing aids. Now, 20 years ago, they weren't so great, but through perseverance and focus, they're brilliant to the point where I can have a conversation with you about anything, hopefully exciting topics, and I'll be able to understand you. And so what we think about here at TIBCO is how do we take these technology trends, how do we take things like AI and blockchain, enhance our products, create smarter tools, more intelligent tools to create a better future together. Now, the World Economic Forum is calling this era the fourth industrial revolution. And I think as we look at all of these vast arrays of technology, some that are coming out every single day, that the social impact of this technology revolution will mimic and perhaps exceed those revolutions that came before. And so we've challenged the teams here at TIBCO to really think about how these technologies can make us better. So rather than doing something silly like trying to work out how to build a bot that will replace people in their jobs, how can we make that person's job more interesting? How can we get more out of that person? How can we apply technology to that person's place of work to make them more productive? And this is really one of the central precepts of things that we're going to talk about over the next couple of days and the next couple of hours. And so this brings to, I think, a point which for me is very important, and that is, how do we innovate responsibly? With so much power and so much great technologies that are out there, how do we make sure that we're innovating so that we really do support this notion that technology can augment us in our everyday lives? And part of this conversation actually started as we started to leverage technologies like chatbots in things like our marketing group. You know, leveraging chatbots to engage with prospects and other marketing entities, and how can chatbots kind of facilitate conversations in ways that perhaps we can't scale today to do. And so this brought up what I think is something for us was very important, and that is kind of a code of conduct that comes around from the use of digital, from the use of technologies like AI. Thomas, do you want to come back out on stage? Where is he? There he is. And you want to just talk a little bit briefly about this code of conduct. And don't worry, I'll move the slide for you.
Thank you. So our digital conduct is very simple, yet very fundamental. First of all, we protect your data. You give us one of your most important assets for a purpose, and we will not share it with other vendors. We will just protect it as our own data and use it only for a purpose you've agreed to. The second aspect is keep the experience genuine. We want you to know what you're interacting with. We're starting to use indeed bots and AI in our marketing points of contact with you, and we want you to know. So a digital assistant is going to be called a digital assistant, and when you talk to a human or interact with a human, you'll know it. The last point is always to take you to the next level. We're taking a commitment to really respect your intent. You're coming to us to get education about a certain topic. You're looking for a solution. You're looking at being more successful. And we know what you've consumed in terms of content, and we will take you to the next step. These are the commitments we take so that that digital experience is beneficial for you and for us.
Thomas, thanks.
Thanks, Matt.
So, where does that leave us? And where does this leave our future? Well, let me put this as plainly as I can. AI, blockchain, IoT, cloud, mobility, serverless, mesh, containers, et cetera, these are our future. And you will see the fruits of that over the next couple of hours on main stage. You'll see it in the technology hub. You'll see it in the sessions. But the core, the most important point that I want to make is around this concept that what we're trying to achieve is humanizing information, not digitizing humans. And this is a challenge that we've set for ourselves. It's a challenge that we would love for all of you to take up as well. Let's change the world. Let's use technology together to make the world a better place. And a big part of humanizing information is the work that the analytics team has been focused on over the last couple of years. So with that, I'd like to bring up on stage Brad Hopper to talk about how we are enabling richer, more contextual, more real-time decision to be made with confidence. Thank you very much.